Just gonna go a quick explanation over the Torqbyte PM4. See, I have the controller, at least the module mounted back here, and my controller sits in the fuel tank, fuel pump, right below all this. Not gonna do all that. You can see a USB cable run to the front. So yeah, you have your configuration file, which would be the actual file loaded onto the car. So you can see I already saved the original that was loaded with the car. Basically, it was reading from the RS4 fuel pump or fuel controller that I had before. It looks like I took those settings and applied them to the torque controller. So I saved those, so that way I wouldn't manipulate any of those settings, or if I did manipulate it, I can restore it back to the original. And then this one up here is actually the one that Torqbyte you can get from Torqbyte's website. It's for the stock A4 controller. So I'm not gonna load that one right now. I have the original already loaded. You see, these are the settings throughout. However, as a reference file, I could compare it against the one that Audi, or the one that Torqbyte provided from Audi, and this is against the stock controller. See some of the numbers. I'm extremely new and unintelligent, or don't know what I'm doing when it comes to fuel trims and fuel controllers and fuel pump numbers and stuff like that. So if you're looking at this and you can make something out of it, cool. I'm just going to talk about what I know. So you can see down here the slope. The gray is the original or the stock controller, and then this is the settings of the new controller as well. So there's talk about fuel pump, demand, percentage on the left, and the ECU command on the right. Additionally, you have the live view, so if I run the car, I can log and I can see the live view. So for example, give me a second here, I'll start the car. Live updates. See, I have extremely rough idle. That's a cold start anyways, so everything kind of settles in. See the percentage numbers on all that. This control directly coming from the Torqbyte fuel controller in the back here. So I have the option, I can log all that same data as well, which I have in the past for some runs I did the other day. I'm gonna turn it off because I don't want to let it idle too long here. But yeah, consequently too, if I loaded, which I have, if I loaded this stock file here and ran the car, what it'll do is it'll end up dying on me. It'll start kind of pretty rough start, and then it'll kind of settle in, and then eventually it'll just die. Just fuel cut pretty much. I have some of that data here. I actually have some of the files as well that I can open. There you go. I can open the log files. See some of the old logs. For example, one of these, I'll have to find the right one, but this is just a quick third gear pull. You kind of scroll along and see the pump data and the ECU data. It's doing a third gear pull, just a short one, not very far, maybe into about the 4,000 or 5,000 RPM range. Also have a couple at idle as well. This is just an idle. Same thing. This is with the Torqbyte file that was already installed, preloaded on there. You can see that data there. And then I have a really longer one here of a long drive that I did. You kind of see some areas where I did some pulls. Timestamps at the bottom here. So forth and so forth. So you can log as well. Beyond that, you can customize the configuration here down at the bottom. But this is stuff that I don't know, what to work, especially with the ignition active duty, which I believe will be a number that probably can be manipulated. I've tried it at 60%. The car starts fine, idles pretty well as well. I just don't want to get carried away and not know what I'm doing. Same thing with auto slope, actually a little more configurable. So compare the numbers here. You can see if I increase the duty max output compared to the active slope up here, you can see the higher I increase it, the more the active slope decreases, along with the active intercept. You see that it corresponds to that. So at about 88 roughly, it gets closer to that number. But again, I don't know what that stuff means. I do know that it affects this slope here. For example, if I hit OK, you can see how the slope changed just very slightly. I'm not going to save the configuration, so I'm not worried about it. And even if I do, I have the original saved separately. But regardless, I'm not saving it. Yeah, and still using that as a reference file. So like, if we compare it to the one that I just did right here, just a little small change that I haven't saved yet, compare it to the original, you can see just barely the change in slope there. Just a very slight change in slope. So again, if you're smarter than me, know how to manipulate this, then by all means you can do that. If I wanted to actually adapt this to the controller, I would just hit right up here and it would write it, obviously. I'm gonna reopen this so I don't write over that on accident. And same thing, if I wanted to read for the controller, I just get its status and we'll give you some more information. Again, information that I don't know how to read yet. So as I go study this a little bit, maybe hopefully I'll learn something. Anyways, that's the Torqbyte VFM, and more particularly the PM4. This is an Audi 2006 Audi A4 TFSI. Quite a bit of work done on it. EFR 7163 with bottom and bottom and head completely built. Low pressure fuel pump is a DW300 Walboro, and the PM4 fuel controller, along with S3 injectors, an upgraded fuel pressure relief valve, and upgraded high pressure fuel pump as well from APR. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope this is helpful to somebody. Thanks.